Alright, my G, Serum 2. Serum 2! What's been going on? Serum 2's been going on. Let's talk about it. We're going to design a sick vocal sound today. A vocal bass line that sounds like this. And it has been made using the Formant filter in Serum and some clever processing as well. Let's break down the patch. So we've actually got two oscillators that we're going to use, plus we're going to use the sub section and also the noise section. We use both the filters, and we've got two LFOs to do the movement, and we're also using a bit of unison on one of the oscillators and also some frequency modulation routing as well. So let's start with oscillator 1, and this is the triangle wave, and it's down at -2 here. Okay, and nothing crazy going on yet. Let's add in the second oscillator, and this is a square wave. And this one has a lot of movement on because we've got the unison on 4, and then through that we've got detuning and blending, and this one's an octave higher than the triangle. And this is being thrown into oscillator A via the phase distortion here, the PD, so PD FM. Yeah, up around 33% or so. I think that's what it was. Okay, so all that movement's coming from the unison of the square wave being fed into the triangle wave. And also I've actually turned off the square wave. So yeah, it's quite messy with it on. So basically we're just routing the unison square into the triangle as a carrier. This is just to start off the sound, get some actual sound going, you know. Then we can add in the noise next, and this is a really nice one. This is the Geiger. I've just found this, and it's great. So this one I've got a little bit of the level on and a little bit of movement, which I'll talk about in a moment on the LFOs. But mostly I'm running it through, FMing it through into the square wave, which is going into the triangle. So basically we're adding on some white noise onto that square carrier. Okay, so a little bit of noise going in there. And yeah, next we can add in the sub as well. So we've got the sub down here, just a sine wave at -2. Okay, so now it's quite full and almost complete sounding. We're ready to add, we're ready to add in the filters and do some movement on the LFO as well, right? But basically, we're gonna run everything through the vocal filter now, but not the sub. So the sub is going to go directly here to the main output, but oscillator A and oscillator B and the noise, they're all going to go into filter 1, which is the Formant filter here. Okay, so the Formant 1, the drive is nice and it's about 20%. We've got some movement on the actual Formant and also some movement on the cutoff. Yeah, it goes up, sort of 2/3 of the way round on this sort of bilateral back and forth, if you know what I mean. But yeah, the LFO that's controlling it is also being modulated by another LFO. So this is my technique. If you're new to my videos, I call it the LFO sandwich. I coined that term. I created this technique. No one else has ever done it before. No, I'm sure someone else has done it on YouTube as well. But I've been doing this for ages on my patches because I find it a great way to get interesting rhythms. So all you got to do, set one LFO up with a random shape like a triangle, and then route the second LFO into the phase of the first one down here and swing that all the way around. So basically the starting position is going to always skip around, okay? And then you can basically use both the LFOs together to create the rhythm, right? And I'm doing it all off the grid. So the first one, got it about 2.6 hertz here. And the one that's modulating it is around 1.5 hertz. And you can do that with the beat and find a cool rhythm. So obviously I settled already on that rhythm, which kind of sounded decent to me. Let's switch the side chains off here as well. That might even help. Alright, so also you can see the lines are different here in the LFOs, and those because I've used the smooth mode, which is great. And I realised in my last video, I don't know if you could see it, but basically, yeah, down here, maybe you can see that now, because I know my beautiful face is in the way. The smooth here, that makes the shape smoother, essentially. It's pretty obvious. But yeah, it can be quite nice. Change up the rhythm and tone a bit, you know? But yeah, basically that's it. Yeah, got that vocal sound going, and remember it's just these oscillator A and B and the noise that are going through that. The sub is just going straight to the master, you know. But anyway, we've got some more routing to do. So the filter one then goes into another filter, and now we're doing some notch movement on everything. This is also tracked to the LFO. And it's super much louder now, right? Because the drive is up nice and high, and the drive on the notch filter especially I really like, because it sort of brings up everything at once, and it just sculpts out a little bit of the mids, and because there's movement on there, it's like shaping the sound and you're not losing too many frequencies at once, you know? But yeah, that's the notch in there, and then the output of the filter I've set to none, so it actually goes nowhere, but it goes all the way 100% to bus 1. So let's jump over to bus 1 now, and on bus 1, this is where we can start adding the effects only onto the vowel part of the sound and not onto the sub bass, because the sub bass is going straight to the main line. So bus 1, the chorus. Firstly, get that really nice and wide, that vocal sound. And I've actually, as you can see, I've actually got an LFO on the low pass filter. So what I like about the Serum chorus actually is modulating that low pass filter actually gives you some quite nice results sometimes. So that's been done. It's fairly subtle once the mix has already been turned down, but if the mix was up, like you can program in a nice sounding sweep for your chorus like that follows the rhythm, like a filter sweep, and then mix it all in. And to me then that's like focused chorus movement, you know. But yeah, next, hyper dimension, a little bit of detuning with the hyper, and a little bit of extra space with the dimension as well. So just around sort of 14 and yeah, 14% on both. Bit of flanging. We love the flanger on this channel. One of my favourite effects. Put like a natural tape feeling into the sound. Only 16% though. Don't want to go crazy now. Diode 2. This is one of my favourite distortions at the moment. Actually, I feel like it adds a lot of brightness. Drive is all the way up, but the mix is low. So it's only 16%, but it's actually moving up a bit on my LFO, so a bit of dynamic distortion happening here. But it does put a very obvious distortion tone on the sound, like it sort of sounds like a real analog distortion, but very nice. Convolver next, 20%. And yeah, very important to give some extra harmonics to the sound. And my favourite preset, as always, the digital gated. It's just the best one on there. I will load in some of my own impulse responses into this part when I couldn't be bothered, but at the moment this one's my go-to. Then I've used the Bode, which I still don't really have a clue what it is, but it was quite cool what I did here. By using the blur especially, I tracked the blur to my secondary LFO, so this is not actually the main movement. It's sort of like a bit of a counter rhythm that's happening. But yeah, I tracked it to the second LFO for a bit of a random movement on the blur. It just adds some nice stereo room harmonics that are quite weird, and so I just wanted to use a bit of that. But yeah, again, only mixing it around a quarter of the way or less, actually. Then all of that gets fed into the main, And then on the main, we've got the sub coming back in again here now. And then so everything we're processing together now with the sub and the vowel together. And another notch filter so I can drive up everything together. And the notch movement's happening around 200 hertz. Sort of probably between 100 and 300, but doesn't really go low enough to cut the volume of the sub. And it's mixed in as well. But yeah, boosting everything quite a lot with that. Again, like, I kind of feel like the drive on the notch filters are almost, or the drive on the filters are almost better than the actual distortion plugin. But yeah, basically then a tiny other little EQ notch cut. Yeah, around sort of 350 or 370 or so. It had a bit of a, I don't know, it just felt a little bit tidier when I just scooped that out. I just sort of did that by ear, really, you know. But yeah, gotta have a great vocal sound occasionally. I mean, in a whole track, just using only this. You could if you wanted to, but I think that would be a great thing to chop up and use like a bit more sporadically or a bit more scarcely. But anyway, I thought this was a great sound. It's not a sort of sound that I make like usually, but I just wanted to try making a sound that was like dedicated to like that kind of vowel flavour, you know. So I hope I did a good job. Let me know what you think down below. And yes, thank you for watching, my G's. Hope you learned a bit about that, about Serum 2 today. I appreciate you guys very much on the channel. Yeah, that's it from me today. May I remind you as well, if you want to join my Patreon, it's a great way that you can level up your sound by getting feedback from others and being part of a great community. And also, if you'd like to have any production lessons with me, links for that are down below. You can find preset packs on my website for Phase Plant, Vital, and almost be a Serum 2 pack coming up soon as well. And yeah, last but not least, if you want any mixing and mastering work, also my email is down there. Alright, that's it from me today. Much love. More from me soon. Ciao, ciao.